Hello everyone, and welcome back to Comic Talk Tuesday. Today we have with us the writer and colorist, I believe, for the Way Long Back series, Anthony Norris. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good this Monday. How about yourself?
Doing good. So, we finally got some more romance on Burning Star. Happy to have it. Happy to have your story especially. It's fantastic so far. So
I know I'm very grateful you reached out to me saying you would like to showcase my comic.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what inspired you to write The Way Long Back?
Honestly, I've had so my current job right now is I do trucking during the weekdays since before COVID, and so it gives me a lot of time to think when I'm on the road. And so I've had a lot of different stories going through my head that I've been wanting to create over the years. I've had I had some sci-fi, and I've had like a superhero or like an action. But this one kept coming back to me. It's about a romance between these two characters, kind of a long distance kind of thing, because since I'm constantly on the road, it's like I'm usually away from people, so sometimes it gets a little can be a little much, but
Yeah, and I mean the story is kind of about a cross-country road trip, right? And he's going to see his girlfriend.
Yeah, it's I mean, there's a bit more drama and some little more thrillery parts, but yeah, that's kind of the heart of it.
Right. I mean, like, being a trucker, that's gotta be, like, quite taxing on the brain. I hear like, man, I hardly have any time to, like, sleep or anything.
Yeah, thankfully I've gone to the point where my driving job is mostly locally now, so I don't have to go too far out. But for quite a while, I was going quite the distance, so it was it could be a little straining on the brain.
What kind of comics or maybe manga do you like reading the most? Is it slice of life stuff like this, or do you usually prefer something different?
There's honestly there's no really like rhyme or reason to the kind of stuff I read. I mean, it might be a little cliche, but it just, if something looks good to me, then I'll pick it up when it comes down to it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've let's see, for the stuff I can remember top of the head, I've actually completed. I've read the entire Peanuts run, the Bones, what was it, from the 90s to early 2000s, about those little like white creatures going into fantasy land.
Oh yeah, those are real classic newspaper comics.
Yeah. The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. I picked that up at Barnes & Noble a couple of years back because I really liked how it was colored. And then the most recent stuff from the past like year or two I've read on the manga side was I'm probably going to butcher his last name, Osawa. It's Pluto and Monster, and again, just because his art style is just phenomenal, and I thought the way he drew his characters, how they emoted, and the stories were really intriguing.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I've definitely been enjoying a lot more manga recently myself, but every now and then I'll pick up some indie comics, like yours, of course, that I really enjoy as well.
Yeah, it's I've been trying to do better about trying to get more into reading comics, but there's so many. There's so many out there, and then there's like a million different voices on YouTube. It's hard for me to just don't know exactly where to start. But going on Kickstarter has helped me to pick up these smaller stories that are like a lot of them are like one and done, or they seem a little bit more. They don't seem as, I hate to use the word corporate, but it's like they're kind of like more personal.
Right, exactly.
So I've been trying to read on more in the indie side.
Yeah, it's a good habit to get into. Obviously, a lot of people really want to get their names out there, and for a lot of them, they're just like a single drop in the ocean, so it's really difficult. But some of them are very, very talented people who definitely deserve to be a lot more famous than they really are.
Oh, definitely.
And,
I was going to say the artist I'm working with, he's phenomenal. Like his style, and he's just been awesome to work with. He's laid back. He's very communicative and great to work with. And I'm surprised he hasn't his work hasn't been out as big as it. I think it should be a lot bigger than it currently is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he has a lot of followers on Instagram, but he says that those don't really translate to a lot of like fans that'll actually buy his work, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, but I'm glad though he wanted to work with me, because I think he's been doing phenomenal work.
Yeah, I think he was really a perfect pick for this kind of story, genuinely. And I'll just take this moment to remind everybody that you also do Kickstarters for each of the individual issues. So, issue 4 you're going to do a Kickstarter for as well, right?
Yeah, we're doing a Kickstarter for issue 4. Hopefully later this week. We're trying to wrap up a couple more art pieces that we're going to put out for sale for the Kickstarter. So this one, issue 4. This is a planned 2-part story. So 1 through 4 right now. So we're going to be collecting that as for this Kickstarter as like as a volume, and then we're hoping.
Awesome, yeah.
We're hoping by the end of this year, or maybe beginning of early next year, to have this whole story wrapped up, so it would be another completed volume 2.
That sounds awesome, yeah. So I'll definitely be posting a Kickstarter link when that goes live. Let everybody know that that's happening. I'll be excited myself. You know, some people, they like to collect the trades, and then other people, they like the individual issues. So it really depends, like, what people prefer.
Yeah, I've been contacted a couple times. They're like, "Oh, your story looks interesting," but because I've made it known. I'm like, "Oh, it's a mini series. It's going to be just several issues," and they're like, "Oh, I want to read it, but I think I'm going to pick it up once you have like a volume done, or the thing done."
Yeah, that's how people are for like a couple of series that I've done too. Like most of the people who are interested in Sonic City Witch, for example, they're all like, well, we'll wait until it's done, it's completed, and then we'll just read it all in one go. And I get it. Especially when you're used to reading a lot of manga growing up, you're just used to like reading an entire volume in one sitting.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just coming with age. I mean, I used to love just going from, picking up a chapter, waiting, and reading another chapter like another week or month or whatever when I was younger. But now I'm just like, I just want to read the whole thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, like Netflix. Everybody got into binging when Netflix came out. They wanted to just sit down and watch an entire show in one sitting.
Exactly.
So I get it. Yeah. Given that romance is an abundant genre among comics, like especially webcomics, I think, what do you think a lot of romance comics are missing that the Way Long Back has?
So I think I have the fortune that my story it has a beginning, middle, and end already planned, since it's a mini series. So because of that, I like you know what you're getting into. So I already have a planned out beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to like webcomics. A lot of webtoons just try to go as long as they can, which so their romance is either will they, won't they, drag that out until the very end, or they do the Ross and Rachel thing where they just break up and get back together constantly.
Right.
But saying that, my story always starts in the middle of an established relationship, and it's just and it focuses on a period in their relationship and life where a rather big problem occurs, and it's just them testing their relationship and see their dedication to each other.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in general, it's pretty rare to have a romance comic set, like, or really any romance story, I guess, set in the middle of their relationship rather than, like, at the beginning. And will they, won't they get together? You know, like all the drama that comes with the trying to get a boyfriend or girlfriend. But instead, we, like, established that part through flashbacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, that part of the story does have a few flashbacks that establish how they got together, but that's not really like the main focus. I do.
Right.
But I think the reason why I wanted to start in the middle of it is because, again, it's just you don't ever see it, like you rarely do.
Yes.
And it's like, well, you know, getting them together, like, you know, getting them together. That's a, you know, that's a nice. It's always a nice story if it's done well. But it's like I want to try to do something a little bit more that feels a little bit more real. And it's like, well, in real life, relationships just don't stop when you get together.
Very true.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of my one of my goals, to try to make it somewhat more on the realistic side. I mean, it's still like a fictional story that has like maybe some over traumatization, but still.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about the comic that strike me as being a very real feeling, you know. But what made you want to set the way along back in the 90s?
So I wanted to set back in the 90s because I didn't want. Well, I mean, so there's two things I wanted to try to accomplish. I wanted to try to make it somewhat evergreen. I mean, I know, of course, there's like payphones and stuff in my story. Like there's no like modern technology. So I mean, I guess, and I know that stuff in the past doesn't exist anymore, but still, it's like I didn't want to be tied down to be like making stuff like set in like this current time, and it's like I tried to avoid it making it too like topical, or you know, too like, oh, this is from this period, like this exact date.
Right.
And the second way I was trying to accomplish was I don't want to sell smartphones in my story, because one of my main focuses of my story is what happens if you lose communication with someone and you don't know what to do, you know.
Right, especially in this scenario where he's not sure if she's okay or not, you know, not to spoil anything. You gotta read the comic, but, you know.
Yeah, and then, you know, with cell phones and smartphone, that kind of takes out the, like, that kind of kills some of the tension. I just didn't want to deal with that, so I just kind of put it in the past.
Yeah, very, very true. And in a way, you know, the fact that it is set in the 90s really does lend to a lot of nostalgia people have for that time period. Some people are like real crazy about 90s stuff, you know?
Yeah, I didn't want to set it too far back, because I didn't want to do too much research. But, you know, long back enough where it's like, oh yeah, I think I can remember that. Like,
I gotcha. There's also like a lot of fun side characters in the comic. And I do have to wonder, are any of these characters based on any other character or people in real life that you might be referencing?
So I have one character from issue 3 who's I mean, he's his own character, but for looks, I've taken inspiration from my uncle, because he had a very big personality and a very he you know, I don't want to say unique, because that sounds mean. He's not big. He was a big bombastic guy. He was just great to be around. But looks wise. And then I have one other character in issue 2 who was heavily inspired by John Wayne kind of character. But everyone else I added to it has been kind of just popped up as I was writing.
Yeah, I do really like that you have like a lot of side characters around, and a lot of them are just kind of nice and just like kind of pleasant interactions happen with them, as opposed to some stories where they only have side characters so that they can be mean and like make you feel bad. for like the main character. You have like a good balance. You got like some mean characters, but then really nice characters that also like interact with our main characters.
Yeah, I was trying. One of the things I was trying to do was like, I wanted to try to make the world around them exist. That it's not just them, not just Stephanie and Nicholas. I wanted to make it like, oh, this world out there is a world outside these two people. So I tried to establish the people in their circle, whether it be fans or family or just people they come across.
Yeah, I think you really did accomplish that. It feels like a world, and characters feel real in the world,
Well, thank you.
Follow up to that, I guess, is who's your favorite character in the comic to write so far?
It'd probably be Stephanie and Nicholas, just because they're the main characters. But if I had to pick between the two, I think maybe Stephanie would maybe inch a little bit further out, because I like writing her as a little bit more like fire in her belly.
Oh yeah, I get that impression.
I have these. at the end of every issue, I have this mini comic that's kind of inspired by like Sunday comics about these two characters, Pedro and Lincoln, and it's kind of my story is about just them. They're like two neighbors. One's a little younger than the other, but it's just about like them forming a friendship and trying to help each other out through them both having a hard time from different reasons. Just them trying to lift each other up, or
Yeah, and I do really like that that nice just extra bit of wholesomeness that's added at the end of each comic, where it's just like these two characters helping each other out, like you said, and showcasing that neighborly love. That's showing how like connected people are.
Yeah, I was thinking while I'm already writing. I was thinking of maybe doing. I'm not sure yet, because I'm only writing to it. I'm only adding to it when I think of something. But I was thinking maybe just taking those two characters and then just make like a one and done comic for them after I was finished with this series.
Yeah, maybe. If they're like popular amongst the fans, then why not, right?
I got inspiration from a couple movies for this story. One was called The Straight Story by David Lynch. It's from the 90s. I don't know if you ever seen that one. It's
I have.
Yeah, it's about like this older man who gets news that his brother across the state, maybe on another side of the state, is like not doing too well. He's kind of been estranged with, and so he takes a lawnmower to go visit him. And then the other one I was also inspired by was Jack Nicholson's and Helen Hunt's As Good as It Gets.
Right. That one I have heard of.
They're both fun movies.
Yeah, I can kind of see it. All right. So how did you? So long as we're talking up how good the artist was and how great a pick he was for this series, how did you meet the artist P.R. Dedelis?
So I met him on. It took me a while to find an artist. I was going on like ArtStation and DeviantArt, and it's not that I couldn't find people, like it's just I couldn't get I was barely getting any responses. That was the thing. Or if I did, someone who did respond that I was interested in, they're like, oh, sorry, I'm already contracted out for like a year or whatever, and I'm like, it is what it is.
Right.
But I found him. I found him. He posted a comic page from one of his other series. I think it was like Wordsmith or something on Reddit as like promotional work, and I just really digged how he drew his characters and the layouts and his line work. So I messaged him. I said, "Hey man, really love your work." And I was like, "Interesting to hire you for an issue," and I sent him my script. and he messaged me back saying he was really interested in it because he up to that point he was doing a lot of like fantasy work. And so he said doing like something like more of like a slice of life, down to earth kind of thing might have been like a creative breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I mean, he is really good at like doing those like kind of cozy scenes as far as like the illustrations I've seen of his on Instagram goes. He's like really good at capturing like really just cozy, laid back people on the couch or girl in street clothes type of vibes,
Yeah, and also he's also been really great to work with too, because sometimes when he sends me back like rough drafts or something, sometimes I think I can maybe look a little bit better. So maybe I edit a little bit on my tablet, and he's been always really cool about it and communicative. So.
Yeah, that's good, because you do want an artist who's going to help you make the comic the best that it can be. So, that's good to hear. Is there, there are a lot of other writers out there who want to work with artists who, like, can't draw on their own, but they want to make comics. Is there any advice you could give to other writers who want to work with an artist out there?
I would say, if you're really serious about you want to write your own, publishing your own issue, when you contact the artist, have your script either have your script done, or if you have an outline, like try to be as detailed as possible. Because if it's just like an idea, a paragraph of an idea or whatever, I don't think people are going to be as inclined to maybe want to work, because it doesn't seem like you're only half heart into it.
Yeah.
Like, as opposed to if you're having something complete, it's like, this person is serious about what they want to do. And also I would also say just be open and flexible with your artist. Like, I get everyone wants to look how they want to look, and they want what they want. But if you put too many restrictions onto the artist, like you have to be exactly like this, that could possibly create some friction between the two of you, which could possibly affect your work.
Right, that's fair. You got to make sure that you're working with someone who's, just as excited with the project as you are, and as I said before, also wants to make sure that it's really good and really high quality stuff. And going back to what you said before, it is important for writers to know exactly what they want, rather than just having a concept or just having an idea. That's a good start to what could be a good story, but you have to actually finish your part of the work to make sure that you're really ready to do a full-time a project like this, because comics take a long time, and nobody really wants to work with someone who's only like half interested or half-heartedly doing something.
Yeah, exactly. And I admit too, I have writer's block here and there when I'm writing this series, but I try to have at least work like several weeks of work planned out, so it's not like, well, what are we doing tomorrow?
Right.
So
that's a much better way to go about it, of course. If I could have everything at least like one issue ahead of time, that's usually like the ideal place that I want to be, or like one chapter ahead, or whatever type of long form story. But yeah, so for people out there who are watching, definitely go check out The Way Along Back. All the digital versions of the issues are up on burningstarcomics.net, and just this month we have issue 3 up on Burning Star. So get caught up on the series if you haven't already. If you've only checked out the first issue, go get the other 2. You might as well. Now, lastly, before we completely sign off on our fantastic interview here, are there any other projects you're working on that you'd like people to know about?
So I'm currently working on with a couple other people a longer form story that's called A Simple Request, which is a mix of like fantasy, kind of slice of life drama and like some fantasy mixed into it. It's about three recent graduates who go to this convention, a fantasy-based convention, just to celebrate and well, those things seem normal as first things kind of go off the rails as the story progresses when it comes to where they are.
Oh, awesome. So, this is going on the Webtoon and Tapas? It's going to be a webcomic?
Yeah, it's going on Tapas and Webtoon. On Tapas, I'm updating it Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then on Webtoon, we update every Friday with a chunk of comics, of pages, because it seems that's what it's more fit to do on Webtoon.
Oh, awesome. So, for those of you listening, why don't you go check out this? You already have a bunch of chapters up that people can, parts of chapters up that people can get to reading.
Yeah, we just finished uploading the complete first chapter, and we already have 2 more chapters ready to more or less go. It's just we gotta clean them up and finish coloring them. So, it's not like we're gonna stop doing this in like 2 weeks. No, we have plenty to release. So.
Right. Are you doing the coloring for this too?
I have someone doing the flatting. Because I'm at a point now I just don't have time to completely color the whole thing.
No, that's fair. I was about to say, oh my god, are you doing the coloring for both comics?
No. Yeah, no. I have someone doing flatting, and then I come in and just edit, clean it up, or maybe add some like extra shading or something on top of that.
Okay, awesome. So you're the person making it look pretty.
Kinda, yeah. Honestly, I would say I think the biggest person of this comic is the penciler herself. If you gave me a second, I would like to actually make a shout out to her if I could find her Instagram.
There we go.
Yeah, no, she's been a superstar. She's really sweet and just been really great to work with.
Yeah, art looks good. Let's see, what is that? It's a Lesia. It's a Lesia.
It's a Mario.
Super cute.
Yeah, I really love her style.
Alright, so you heard it from here first, folks. Go check out The Way Along Back. Go check out A Simple Request. And are there any socials that you like to promote, or do you just like to do the writing side of things?
I mostly do the writing. I mean, I have a Twitter, but I don't.
That's
you know.
Yeah. Well, what you really want is followers for the comic rather than followers for the account.
We have, I'd say if you're going to follow someone, follow the artists of Elysia and Daedalus.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining me on this little interview, Anthony. And thank you, chat, for joining in and watching us.
Well, thank you very much. It's been nice, Dan.
Yeah. And we'll see you all next time.
Have a good one.